Elly, thanks for joining me today. We're going to have a chat about domestic reverse charge for VAT. I know you've been meeting and talking to clients about this. It sounds quite complicated. I hope you can help us to understand it today. So first of all, can you tell me what exactly this change is?
Yeah, thanks, Linda. It's a big change, but it's not that complicated once you get all your processes in place, which we need to do quite quickly because obviously it comes in on the 1st of March next month. So the domestic reverse charge is a change that HMRC are making so that VAT is not charged to every customer and through suppliers and customers under the construction industry scheme.
Okay. And who is going to be affected by the change?
So it's any businesses that are VAT registered and come under the construction industry scheme. And what it is that they won't be charging that 20% VAT, and that will be unless they're an end user.
Okay. And is this just a paperwork exercise?
No, so it's not just paperwork. You need to also consider your cash flow forecasting and the impact this will have on your cash flow. Because under the reverse charge, you won't be applying that 20% VAT, and in which case you'll be getting 20% less from your customer.
Okay. And are there any implications, any other implications in terms of the way that VAT, the construction businesses deal with VAT?
So at the moment, a lot of construction companies do actually use the cash accounting for their VAT schemes. This is where they pay over to HMRC any output tax when they get the money from their customer. But under this scheme, you can't use the cash accounting. So obviously, they'll then have to account for it when it's the invoicing as opposed to when they get it cash, which means they'll be paying it over quicker, so a disadvantage to their cash flow. And also, you might want to look at the frequency of your VAT returns, because under this scheme, you'll have less output tax, in which case you may then come into a repayment situation, in which case you may need to consider monthly VAT returns so that you can get that money in quicker from HMRC.
Okay. So just summarise for me what people need to do now if they're going to be affected by this change.
So I'd say there's four main things that you need to look at. The first thing would be to look at all of your customers and any contracts you have with those customers, and to see whether they are an end user or not, so whether the reverse charge actually applies. And you need to look at individual contracts, because with some customers the reverse charge may apply, and for other contracts for the same customer it may not apply. So this will depend on whether they're an end user for that contract or not. So with an end user, it's somebody where they won't then supply on what you've given to them under your services. So you would need to, I would suggest, writing to your customers and get them to confirm to you in writing if they are an end user. And this can be by email or it can be by letter. Obviously, email these days is the easiest way to do it. Then what you need to do is look at whether your accounting system can deal with the reverse charge. We use Xero for all of our customers and internal businesses, and this does already have all those tax codes that you need. You then need to look at all of your invoice settings, templates, whatever you use, to make sure that it does have all those terms to do with the domestic reverse charge. There is some certain wording on HMRC that you can use for that. And then finally, probably most importantly, is to look at your cash flow forecast to see what impact this will have on your business. There's obviously the short-term issue you might have with cash flow, because if you're applying a reverse charge, you won't be applying that output tax. In which case you won't get that money in. And even worse though is if you use invoice discounting, then this will impact you on a long term because you won't get so much funding coming in for the invoice discounting.
Okay, so plenty for people to be doing. Elly, I will. What I'll do is I'll put a link to our blog in the comments, and that will give people a bit more information about the scheme and the changes, and also a link to our business review service.